Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. We've been talking a lot of politics, obviously, today. Now we take a little bit of a different look at things and take a look at how the economy is doing. And we've got with us today from our great friends over at ABC Bank, American Bank of Commerce, the president and CEO of ABC Bank, James Arnold. James, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Chad. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us on the program. It's obviously this year with the economy. It's not been pretty this year, but it looks as though things are improving, at least here in Lubbock, right?
Chad, if you'd have told me back in March that we would be where we are today in Lubbock in terms of our economy, I would say it'd be a pretty successful year. And so it's been weird. Some industries have done better than others, but I think all in all, Lubbock's fared this economy and this virus fairly well.
What is it about the economy here that is doing well, and it is really doing better than other places across the U.S.?
Well, I think it goes back to what we've talked about before. Lubbock is the job structure in Lubbock is Texas Tech, it's the Health Science Center, it's UMC, it's Covenant. And so all of those sectors right now have not really been impacted negatively from the coronavirus in terms of funding. Now, the students have been impacted at Tech and all those things, but in terms of the staff, they haven't had layoffs, there's not been job cuts, anything like that. So I think Lubbock's been pretty resilient throughout this pandemic.
Yeah. So when you compare Lubbock to some of the other places in the state, is the state doing just as well as Lubbock is, or are we kind of above everybody else right now in our recovery?
Well, if you look at unemployment, the unemployment rates for Texas, West Texas continues to kind of lead the pack in terms of low unemployment. Amarillo, Abilene, Lubbock. The only outlier would be Midland, Odessa. We know why that is, because of the oil and gas prices and the drop in oil and gas and a rise in unemployment in those two markets, and that's just what happens in the Permian Basin. But Lubbock's fared better than most. Again, it's the tortoise and the hare. We don't have a large upswing when things are going well, and we usually don't have a large downswing when things correct. So we're kind of right in the middle, and Lubbock's a resilient city.
Yeah. Well, and that's very good news. Are you surprised? We keep hearing more and more talk about more of the the PPP loans and maybe some more of that coming through. Is that something that Lubbock businesses are going to be in need of, you think?
Well, it depends on kind of what the parameters are around the granting of any new stimulus package. There were a lot of businesses that took the stimulus package, took the PPP money that, in retrospect may not have needed it. But back in March, nobody knew what the second and third quarter and the winter was going to look like. So everybody that was available to take it took it. Yeah. And so that was what the Secretary of the Treasury told everybody, that every small business in the country should take this money. They didn't say regardless of if you need it or not. They just said take it.
Yeah.
And so I think another stimulus package, you'll see businesses take advantage of it if it makes sense for their business, and if depending on what the rules and regs are in terms of taking that money and the payback provisions. I think it'd be smart to look at it.
Well, and why is it that it seems like the rules were changing as businesses were taking out these loans and everything else. It seemed like there were no set rules or payback on taxes or anything else. Those kind of developed along the way, didn't they?
Yeah, they do. You're right. And so we just have to watch that. I think the Biden administration will be pushing for a relief package. We may see one in December come across. I doubt that. But I think once he takes office, I think we'll see another stimulus package roll out. And we'll be, I think everybody needs to look at it, see how it impacts our community.
Yeah.
We know it's going to add to the debt load, and so we just need to look at it.
This is, the time of year where a lot of retailers are hoping to pick up business. I know it's early on nationally. We've seen that retailers have not done so well as far as in-person shopping. How do you think that's going to impact the city here locally?
Well, I think it's not going to be good, Chad. I think, when we talk about the Lubbock economy being resilient, we've talked about this before. 75% of the local economy is retail sales and housing. Well, we know what housing's done in Lubbock, unprecedented, record-breaking year. I think retail is going to be the total opposite of that. It's kind of that K-effect return. One sector goes up, one sector is going to go down. I think you're going to see, sadly, some retail businesses in Lubbock not make it through 2021. So it's been a major shift, obviously, with the pandemic and stay-at-home. Online shopping's exploded. It was already trending that way very strongly prior to the pandemic. And all the coronavirus did was push more and more people, reluctantly or not, into online shopping, and at the expense of our local retailers.
Yeah. James, before we let you go, I wanted to get into home sales, because I know that's a major part of also what you guys do over at ABC Bank. And what may surprise a lot of people is home sales have continued to be pretty darn good, not only here but across the U.S.
It's really been amazing. You know, part of that's the low interest rate environment that we're in. You know, people can qualify for more home in terms of value because interest rates are so low, historically low rates, and they have been for pretty much the entire balance of the year in 2020. So that's driving it. Again, we've seen layoffs, but we haven't seen them in Texas as much. And then there's people that are hunkering down, sitting on cash, not wanting to put their house on the market, so inventories are very low. So anytime someone puts a house on the market, it's getting under contract in record time at close to what they're asking for. So it's a great market in real estate right now in Lubbock, Texas, and I think it'll continue into 21.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's get together again before we wrap up. 2020 and kind of look ahead to 2021 and what it may bring, and get you back here in studio here in a couple of weeks, James.
That'll be great. Thanks, Chad.
All right, thank you. That's the president and CEO of American Bank of Commerce. You can visit their website, theabcbank.com. I want to thank James Arnold for joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show.